So, my darlings, we officially begin our reset. We are now in our tender part of November. It's 20 days, and Principle One is upon us, and it's a lovely one, my darlings. It's a really lovely one, and I don't know. I don't think we can do too much of this. I really don't think that I don't think there's such a thing as too much encouragement, especially that we give to ourselves, because we are our own worst kind of critics, aren't we? And in that sense, we are our own worst enemies. We tend to be quite negative when we look at ourselves, when we look at how we do. It's always kind of like what we have yet to do rather than what we have done. And it's a real hard thing to unlearn, to kind of get into a mode of celebration and recognition and honouring what we do, honouring how we live, honouring the choices that we make. Because life is pretty full on, isn't it? So, we get one day done, and then we have to go on to the next. Rarely do we have time just to look back on that day and actually honour what we have created through that day, or honour our energy or our effort, or forgive ourselves, or offer ourselves moments of understanding and care, so that we can heal up, so that we can recover, so that we can begin again. We're kind of constantly always moving forward. So what I mean by that, my darlings, is that even when we rest, we take a day of rest so that we can jump back into life, or we take a 2-week holiday so that we can get back and work. We kind of like fit in our moments of rest and reflection into this kind of like wider or bigger spectrum of doing and moving and progressing and pushing on and pushing forward. And so so that's why I say that we can't do too much of Principle One, which is to feel proud of ourselves, because often we don't have time to feel proud of ourselves. Often we don't give ourselves time to feel proud of ourselves, because we're always moving to the next carrot that's dangling in front of us, when we actually reach for a carrot. And as I've been doing this kind of like self-love journey now for a while, years. I mean, a good 10 years at least, where I've really kind of like shifted into kind of being kind to myself and getting really honest with myself. And still, I have to teach myself this. I have to teach myself this, or reteach myself this over and over again, just to kind of stop and look for the positive of what I do, the positive of what I achieve, the positive of what I create. And this tends to happen when we have so much to get done, or we feel overwhelmed by life. Because we feel so overwhelmed, we kind of like focus on how small we feel and how incapable we are of kind of, completing this whole huge list of tasks to do. But this is so vital. It's just so important, my darlings, that we garner this habit of feeling proud of what we have achieved. Even the little things, most importantly the little things, because our everyday is made up of the little things. We'll come, we will have a day here and there where we have to face something really big, and we get through it. But it's the little moments, it's the everyday, ordinary decisions that we make to just continue and to persist and to not give up. That's what we have to start becoming more proud of and feeling more grateful about, to ourselves for doing that. Because remember, we could always give up. We could always walk away. We could always stop whatever it is that we're involved in, but we don't. We have this capacity to just keep going, even when it feels completely heavy and difficult. And we we get taken down by a wave and we get up again. My darling, if you have been taken down by however many waves in your life, you've only been taken down because you keep getting up. You've only been taken down that many times because you keep getting up afterwards, which doesn't show me first how much you get pushed, thrown over by the wave. What it shows me is that you have this incredible spirit that pushes you up out of the water to face whatever else might be coming for you. That is what we're doing in this principle. We're focusing on that. We're not focusing so much on the waves, but we're focusing on the fact that we get up, and we're there, we're present, we're available for a wave to come if it does, That's the beauty, that's the wonderful thing, and yeah, my little twist on this principle of you do so well, which we did last year, and it's just so true that we don't give ourselves enough credit for how far we have come and for what we face and for the mountains that we climb and the way we still look for rainbows even though lots of storms come, But my twist on it this year is the fact that we just do, And what I mean by that, my darlings, is that we have this kind of expectation on ourselves. It's inherent. If we're human, we expect from ourselves. And the expectation often mirrors what we see around us, on a small scale and on a big scale. And it's always that we have to do, it's the fact that we have to kind of like reach the peak of the mountain to feel like we have climbed the mountain. When actually, even when we're on the middle of the mountain, we have still climbed the mountain, we have still been climbing, and surely we should acknowledge that we have climbed so far and come so far anyway, but it's this idea that we have to kind of like be brilliant, we have to kind of tick off everything on that list of things to do in order to feel like we've done the day. And I had this moment actually only a few days ago where it just dawned on me, that I just wasn't going to get everything done. I just wasn't. And I was just going to make mistakes and things were just going to go wrong. And I was just going to kind of like, not complete everything because it is too much to do. And I can't even believe what this realization did for me. I mean, it was just like this, a huge weight came off my shoulders and my chest because I embraced myself regardless of trying to complete everything. I embraced the moment regardless of whether it was going to give me opportunity to complete everything. No longer was completing everything the focus. The focus was just to do what I could do, and the fact that I could do it, that was the thing to recognize and honor and acknowledge and feel good about. And I did, I can't even tell you how much my stress levels just went down, and I just sat and I got whatever it was that I had to get done as much as I could. And I felt really at peace and, and rested because of it. And that was quite a bit of a light bulb moment for me, because I realized that, we do it, like forget the details. We might not do all of it, but we do it. We might not climb the whole mountain in the year, but we do some of it, so we do it. Like I might not tidy up the whole of my lounge in one go, but I do some of it. I'm doing it, and that's the important thing. The important thing is that we do it. Sometimes, my darlings, we have to crawl for days and weeks and months, but we're still moving forward. We're still doing life. We're still doing it, And I wrote this poem about how we're good at living, and I know that's a hard one to swallow because we often want to tick off a few things on our list before we feel good at something, before we feel good at life. And what I am encouraging you to do through this principle is just to rub all those boxes away. You are living, my darling. You are given life, everything you have. And that changes obviously on a daily basis because of loads of different factors. But the point is that you give your life what you have. And it might be different from somebody else. And it might be different from what you did a week ago, but you're still doing it. You're still living. You're still giving, you know? And for sure, maybe last month you had more energy, or this month you have more energy, or whatever. But the point is that despite the variables, you're still giving your life energy. Does that make sense? You know? And that's kind of what I'm asking you to do in this principle, is just to get rid of the details and just focus on the fact that you have done this year. You might not feel like you have done it well. I promise you. I know that you have. Like, I know. It might not meet your standard. It might not meet the expectation you had, the dream that you had for it. But you have still done it, my darling. You have done it with grace. You have done it with determination. You have done it with bravery. You have done it with grit. You know? Like, you are doing it. You are doing your life. And that is what you should be proud about. You know, all the lovely details that come and go, fine. If you had lots of them for 2019, if 2019 has been a year of incredible challenges fulfilled, then by all means, get specific with the details, okay? But for people like me, 2019 hasn't been about that, then I'm just going to leave the details for a day or two, and I'm just going to focus on the fact that I've got here. And I'm alive, and I'm kicking, my heart's kicking, and I'm well, and I'm still wanting to keep on going, you know, and I've got through all of that, you know, to be here today. And I'm, you know, some days I might not have done it as well as I wanted to, you know, and there might have been days where I didn't want to crawl for as long as I did. Those were actually months, not days, but I still did it. I still did life. You did it. You are doing life. You have done life. You did it. And that is worthy of celebration always. I want to leave you with a story, okay? It's my favourite story. It's my favourite kind of like parable. I read it years ago, maybe 20 years ago. But it's called, I couldn't even remember what it's called. I'm going to just give it a name. It's called The Bucket Carrier. It's not called that. It's called The Bucket something, but I'm going to call it, no, it's called The Water Carrier. It's The Water Carrier, okay? So, once upon a time, there was this water carrier who had a long stick and two buckets on either side of the stick. And every day he would do like a 3 or 4 mile walk to collect water from the river and bring it back to the village for his wife and his children. And he did it every day without fail. And every day without fail, he would come back with only 1 bucket full of water. The other bucket was empty. You would think that he would want to resolve that so that he could bring back 2 buckets of water, but he didn't. And his wife just let him continue for a while, you know, because the 1 bucket kind of satisfied their needs, that it was enough for them. But one day, she asked him, just before they went to sleep, and she said, darling, you know, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you do for us every day the same thing, that you bring us water, and that from the water I can wash the rice, and then I can cook for our children, and we, you know, all our needs are accounted for. But I have to ask you, one of your buckets has lots of holes in it, and still you use it. The other bucket is completely fine. Why don't we just get another bucket, and then we could have double of what we've been living off for however many years. The water carrier smiled at his wife, kissed her on the forehead, and said goodnight. He said, I'll think about it. He woke up the next morning, put on his clothes, did his rituals, got the stick and the 2 water buckets and left to do the long walk, to find the water and bring it back home for his family. Now on the way to the river, the bucket with the holes spoke to the water carrier. And he felt really sad. The bucket felt really sad and said, Dear water carrier, I need to ask you the same question that your wife did last night. I've got so many holes. When are you going to replace me? When are you going to just put me to the side? Because I'm useless, you fill me with water, and by the time we get back to the village, I have nothing to offer you and your children and your wife. And I feel utterly useless. And my friend on the other side of you is wonderful. He's perfect. He's in perfect condition, and he does what he's supposed to do. He does what a bucket is supposed to do. I just think you need to get rid of me. You need to listen to your wife, and you need to bring back double of what you always bring back. I'm ready. I'm ready for you to let me go. And then the water carrier looked at him and said, let's continue, and I will show you on the way back why it is that I love the fact that I have you. And so eventually they got to the river. The water carrier filled both buckets with water from the river. And as he began his walk back, he looked at the bucket with the holes and said, I want you to look around as we walk back to the village, and I will point out to you what it is that I will tell my wife when I get home as well. And as they were walking back, and the water bucket looked around, the water bucket could see so many beautiful things, beautiful things, beautiful flowers, beautiful grass, so colourful, so rich, so fertile. And just before they got to the village, the bucket of holes said to the water carrier, do you know, in all my time of doing this passage with you, I've never actually taken the time to actually look at the scenery around me, but it's a beautiful walk. It's beautiful. The colours, the vibrancy, the flowers, the different kinds of flowers, the tropical feel. It's wonderful. I'm so glad that we've done this passage today. I feel like I've done it for the first time because I've looked around and seen what it is that I'm a part of. So thank you. But still, we're now at your village, and I have nothing to give your family. And then the water carrier turned to the water bucket and said, no, you don't have anything to give to my family, because all the water that I put inside of you was given to something else. It was given to the grass and the flowers and the tropical bushes and all the fertile beauty of the earth that we walk upon over those miles. I know you have holes, but because you have holes, we can then water everything that we pass along until we get home. So it's because of you that everything is so colourful and so beautiful and so fertile and so rich and vibrant. It's because of your holes. Without them, it wouldn't be. And then I could say that the water bucket started to cry, but you couldn't see the tears because water and tears are the same. And anyway, sorry. Bad sense of humour. My point is this, my darlings. My point is this. how we look at our holes and our issues and the way we do things, and the you know, the times that we fail and the times that we don't we don't learn our lessons, or we don't kind of like move on like we want to, or life doesn't happen how it wants to. These are all kind of like holes, you know, or literally like wounds that we carry and whatever. We have this idea that, you know, because we have this expectation of what it is to kind of be alive and be full and be whole and be strong, and because we don't fulfill it, we think that we're not it. But actually, these holes that we think are a curse are actually a blessing in some way, and they water and they do a different deed, but a just as much needed deed. There's purpose to them. And so the reason why I'm sharing this story today, my darlings, is because, you know, there might be holes in your year. You know, this year might have revealed holes inside of you, and you might have then immediately and initially judged them as wrong, or as problems, or they've made you feel less than because they are there, when actually, because of them, they make something inside of you more vibrant, more alive, more colourful, more beautiful. So in the sense that, you know, like sometimes, like, you know, being so sensitive, you know, as people, as women, as you know, as a lot of us are, we kind of take that to be a negative thing, when actually, because we're sensitive, we can then kind of like be more empathetic and compassionate, and we can experience a wider spectrum of the living the living experience. We can feel more, and because we can feel more, we feel more alive, you know. Whereas others would just say, well, you're so sensitive, too sensitive, sort it out, you know. And they kind of condone the whole as a problem. But actually, there's beauty beyond it. There's beauty beyond this whole kind of like, you know, condemnation and judgment. I think we tend to do that, you know, with ourselves. We tend to kind of like look at the things that don't fulfill our expectations inside of us, and we think that they're problematic. We think that, you know, we have failed or we're doing something wrong, when actually, my darlings, they're the reasons why we blossom in other areas. They're the reasons why we soften in other areas. They're a big part of our experience and our growth. Okay? So, yeah, I don't know, I just felt like sharing that story, really. It's a beautiful one. But yeah, I would just love you to look at your life like the water carrier looks at the bucket with holes. Look at your year. Look at everything you've got through, like the water carrier looks at the bucket of holes. Okay? And yeah, and enjoy feeling good about yourself. Remember, give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to feel good about being here today, regardless of the crooked paths, regardless of the valleys, regardless of however many times you fell on your face, okay? Give yourself permission to feel good about doing life up until this point, right now, right here. I have gone on so long in this video. I promise you the other videos won't be this long, but it is our first one, so I always tend to kind of offer a little bit more, okay? But sending you so much love, wishing you so well with the first principle, and you know where to find me if you need me, okay? Ciao, bella.